So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. So going to ask you to pick a number 1 through 20. Buddha May. 11. Ah.
I could feel us all go 11.
Yeah.
It just went.
Nice. Carmen. 8. 7. 5. 15.
Okay, 4.
4. 10. 5. Okay. Did you, Jason? 11. So you have some 4s and 5s and 11s and 15s, 2 11s. We could round it to 7. Going to, what's in the middle there? The median. Huh? 7 of 7.
7 is heaven.
7 is heaven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recite the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and we'll discuss it. Atha saptamo jayaha Shri Bhagavan uvacha Maya shakta manaparta yogam yunjan mad ashrayaha Asham shayam shamagramam yata gashashi tachino Gyanateham sabhigyanam idam baksham sheshata Yajgatva nehabyo nach gatavam avashishyate. So this chapter is called The Opulence of the Absolute. I believe that's the name. It's Sanskrit. I think it's Vijnana Yoga. I don't have any cheat sheet here, so I'm just going on what I can remember. And so the first part of this chapter is all about hearing. Hearing is how we learn things that happen in all different times. If we're looking with our sight, we can only see what's happening right now. But if we want knowledge from other cultures, other generations, it all comes from hearing. In fact, hearing, if you look at the different forms of evidence, this hearing, our testimony, is one of our primary means of learning about things. Like, for example, all of you took the subway somewhere in your life, and you relied on the testimony of the MTA, their maps. That's a testimony. That's you're accepting, or you're taking in that information. You may have not seen the route to its end, but you hear it, or you take in that information, you apply it, and you say, okay, it took me to this stop, that stop, that stop, so maybe it will take me to the last stop. It seems to make sense. So you have this willingness to participate with the MTA because it makes sense on paper, and when you do it, it works. It actually takes you to the stops it says it's going to take you. It requires a willingness to investigate, to look into it, but it's not kind of blind faith that you get on the MTA. It's reasonable. It makes sense. And if you had a map that was drawn by a 2-year-old with Staten Island in the middle, and Bronx at the top, and Queens to the west, and you're like, I don't know if I'm not so sure if this map's gonna really work out. So he says, idam tu te guyatamam pravakshami anasuyabe jnana vijnana sahitam Yachgatpa mokshashe shubat. So he says, Krishna says to Arjuna, and Arjuna is sitting there listening right next to him. But Krishna is calling for his clarity of attention. Just like your ears are always picking vibrations, but you only learn when the consciousness is applied to that vibration. The organs are always there, but the consciousness needs to be applied. You can be in a noisy restaurant, but you can hear, oh, this person said that, this person said this, when the consciousness is being applied. Just like if you eat food and you actually consciously taste it, there are amazing things that happen to the body. Your body actually understands, oh, this is what you're eating. Let me produce these enzymes proactively so you can digest these things very nicely. You can get the nutrients, you can get the energy. But if we just shovel food in our mouth while we're watching Game of Thrones, and our stomach's like, what is this stuff that just appeared in? How did it? There was no tasting of the food. We're just shoveled in our mouth. So this consciousness of being applied. So he says, Tatshrino, just here. Because idam tu te gayatama maya shaktamana parta yogam yun janmarashaya asham shayam shamagram yatakritachinu gana te ham sabi gyanam. So if you understand this knowledge and realization, moksha gana bigana sahitam yajgatva moksha she shubhat. So this is word moksha. Has anybody heard this word before? Moksha, freedom. Actually, some of you may be able to help out. We want to get a dry erase marker board for the devotees who go out in kirtan on the streets and have the question of the day. And we'll have all kinds of questions like, is God a person or an energy? And whatever they say, then we answer, strawberries or cream. And whatever they say, then we respond with, why or? Why not and? When you're thinking about something so expansive, then we have to kind of break the boundaries a bit. So why or? So this is another question we have is, Lady Liberty, what is the highest freedom? What is the highest liberation? And that specifically is when they do go kirtan at Bowling Green, when you see the people with the Statue of Liberty hats. So then when any person we see with that hat, we're going to ask them, hey, Lady Liberty, what is the highest freedom? So it says moksha she, we become free. Ashubhat. If you go to an Indian family's home, sometimes you'll see this statement on the door. Shubh Labh. This is auspiciousness and fortune. Good luck. And so, Ashubhat, you'll be free from all bad fortune. If you just hear this transcendental knowledge. I think the next one, Ashubhat. Manushanam sahastreshu kaschir yatati siddhaye yatatam apisidhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. So this word manu, what English word is related to this? Man. Humankind. Yeah. Manu Shanam Sahastreshu. Sahastra means thousands. Out of thousands of humans, Kashchid Yatati Siddhaye. What is this word? Siddha. Siddhi. It's perfection. Like the yogic powers, the yogic siddhis. He says, out of many thousands of people, hardly anyone is seeking perfection. And yatatam api siddhanam. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one understands me. This is like, even if you're achieving, you're in the path of seeking perfection, the highest element of perfection, having a loving connection to divinity, is still can be even further removed from that. It's very rare. Love, true love is a very rare thing. Yatatamapi siddhanam kaschin mam bheti tatvata. Hardly one knows me in truth, Krishna says. So then he starts to say how we can start to begin to see divinity throughout our lives. Bhumir apo nalo bhayu kammada bhudare vacha ahankara itiyame bhina prakritir ashtada apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahavaho yayatam daryate jagat etad yoni bhutani matstani padarya aham krishnasya jagata prabhava pailastata mata partaram lanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam proktam sutre managanaiva rasoham apsakunteya prabhashmi shashashuryo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdake purusham nashu punyaganda prativim cha chedas chasmi vibhabasho jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapaschasmi tapashvisu bijamam sarva bhutanam vidiparta sanatanam buddhibrintham asmi tejas tejasvanamaham bhalam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma varuda bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava ye chaiva satpaka bhava rajasastamashashte mata ete tatanvidhi maite te shute mai chigir guner bhaver evi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nami janati lokam ajam avyayam daiviyesha gunamaya durataya mameviye prapadyante mai etam tarantite. So Bhumi, what is this? Mother Earth. So Earth, Bhumi, Apa, water, Nala, fire, Vayu, air, Kha, space. Then he says, Manar Bhuder Evacha, the mind, the intelligence, and so on. So you have the false ego. And then you can all divide in there are other levels. You can come up with 26 different elements that are there. He said, these elements are my ashtada, like Ashtanga Yoga, my 8 separated material energies. So what do we mean by separated? Any guess? What does it mean by separated energies? It's like oil and water. It's like there's this transcendence. A-Train confirms this fact. So, this is Bhina Prakritir Ashtada. This Bhina is separated. So you have what is called transcendence, separation. Transcendence means divinity is above, not material. If you're thinking on a material level, transcendence is above it. But eminence is the opposite. Eminence is it means transcendence, or the divinity is blended. Everything is a part of it. And like we said, it's not or, it's and. So the sunlight, is it the sun? No? And is the sunlight the sun? It's yes. It's both. You can say the sun is outside. Where does it begin, or where does it, like the fire and heat? The heat is part of fire, but it's not the fire necessarily, because the fire could be on one side of the room and the heat is felt over here on this side of the room. But it's the energy and the energetic, the power and the powerhouse. So they share this quality of being unified and distinct, having identity and unity at the same time. And so divinity is described like the sun or the moon. When we say the full moon is outside, we say the Purnima, Purnam Purusham, they say in Bhagavatam. If we say the full moon is outside, we know it's the moon and its glow. It has its energy that's there, its glow that it's giving off. So you have the light that's on the sun itself is called the internal energy. And so when you look on the altar, you see Krishna, and you see a very pretty girl next to Krishna. Who is that? Radha. So she is the light on the sun itself, the internal energy. The Krishna's feminine form, the energetic form. The energy form, and he's the energetic. Sorry, the energetic form is the masculine, and the feminine form is the energy form. Now you have the light that comes out of the sun. So you have the light that's on the sun itself, and then the rays that are coming out. And that is called so this is internal, and you have what is called the marginal energy. And that's the souls. And why is it called marginal energy? Is because a soul is it's like on the beach. You can decide to be on the sand or on the water. You're on the margin. So you can decide, do I want to be in material consciousness or spiritual consciousness? We're on this margin. That's what souls are. They have this marginal position where they can choose, do I want to take shelter of the temporary or the eternal? So this rays of light coming out of the sun itself. But then there is another energy called the external energy, or the separated energy. The earth, water, fire, air, and ether, matter. And that is like, you say you have the light on the sun, the light coming out of the sun, and the light of the sun reflected in a little container of water. It looks like the sun is there. It looks like the life of the sun is there, but it is not. For example, this body looks like it's alive, but it's not. This is a Muppet. And soon as the show is over and the person pulls their hand out of the puppet, the kid who's watching, wait, Kermit died! I was like, no, that was actually never alive. It was just a show. What gave its life was the hand inside. So what gave someone to seemingly think Marilyn Monroe is very beautiful is the presence of the soul. As soon as the soul has left Marilyn Monroe's body, nobody is like, I don't want to see, I don't want to touch, I don't want to, get it away. So what gave it to beauty? So that marginal energy, not that external energy, it looks like life. But it's actually not life. It's just a Muppet. So bhumira ponalovayu kammadabudeva hankara itiyame. So you have 5 physical elements, 3 subtle elements. Those who have been coming here for more than 3 months, you cannot answer. What are the 3 subtle elements? Anybody? the three subtle elements. You have earth, water, fire, air, ether. Those are the gross elements. Mind, intelligence, false. You've been coming here for more than 3 months? I think so, yeah. So this is the mind. The mind is actually has this sense of sankalpa, vikalpa. I like it, I don't like this. I like, I don't like. I like, I don't like. That's the mind. And the mind is an innocent fellow. It's just where it's placed and where it has cultivated attachment. The mind is actually the great friend when it is directed in a way that is, in a sense that is productive for the self-satisfaction. Actually, if you think about someone is, say you are in a relationship and someone likes you. Do you want them to like you because they have love in their heart, or because they like how many followers you have on Instagram? So one is the intelligence. Oh, I like this person because he has this, that, this, that, this, that. So that's the intelligence. But it's the mind. It's where I like because I feel something. The mind is the seat of emotion. So although the mind can be the worst enemy because it can chase after liking the temporary, but it also can be the best friend because when it develops a liking for divinity, it chases after divinity. So bhumir apo nalavayu kamana buddhevacha ahankara diyame bina prakriti ashada. So Krishna describes these are the separated energies. Even the mind is not alive. Like if you go to Blink Fitness and you get on one of those bicycles, you start pedaling, what happens? The screen pops up. Whoa, what kind of exercise regimen would you like to do? 30 minutes, this, blah, blah, blah. It asks you these questions. It only lights up because the presence of your energy there. You're pedaling and it brings it to life. So the mind is software that is brought to life by the presence of the soul. Similarly, intelligence in the same way. And the false ego in the same way. So Krishna says, besides those, there is a superior energy. Like we said, we talked about these different energies. What was the second one? You had the internal and the external. What was the one in the middle? The soul, the marginal, yes. The jiva. So he says, Aprayam itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayadam dharyate jagat. So you have another energy that's superior to this matter, because it's not matter, it's not conscious. And that energy, the soul, is trying to lord over matter. It's trying to control it. Aprayam itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayadam dharyate jagat. Eta dyonini bhutani. Yoni. Every being in this world has their source with these two energies. They have a material body, and they themselves are a soul. Eta dyonini bhutani matstani padarya aham krishnasya jagata prabhava playadastata. And so he says, I am the cause of that prabhav, that creation, and pralaya, that destruction. That is all under my supervision. Prabhava playadastata mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti nanjaya maya sarvam proktam sutre managanaiva. So Buddha May has this beautiful pearl necklace. And Krishna says, sutre. Just like all this energy is resting upon me, we don't see the string because it's a very good necklace. But we know the string is there. It's holding it up. So Krishna says, sutre mani ganaiva. Mani means pearl. Sutra means thread. He says, I am that thread that is holding it all together.
Under the pearl it says money.
Money. Oh, there you go. Ah. So then he starts to explain other ways how we can see. Rasoham apsukundeya. I am that pure taste of water. Prabhashmi Shashi Shurayo. I'm the light of the sun, the light of the moon. Shashi. Actually, he says, I'm the light of the rabbit and the light of the sun. So what is the rabbit? In Asia, they call it the rabbit on the moon. Yeah, so in Bhagavad Gita, twice, Krishna, at least twice, I know. Maybe more, but I find this Shashi ink, marked with the rabbit. He who is marked with the rabbit. You got some unk on you, some ink. Shashi Anka.
Actually say that, rabbit?
Yes, yeah. Chapter 15 and chapter 7.
You mentioned rabbit.
Yeah, moon is called Shashi Anka, marked with the rabbit. And you find this Dhammadarastaka, it says Chireka Ankakanta, Krishna, who's marked with 3 lines on his neck. So I thought maybe somebody who's heavily tattooed maybe can get some Ankh in their Sanskrit name, some ink in their Sanskrit name. Some marked. I have a friend Mark. I was thinking that would be a good name for him because he's been a tattoo artist for 30 years or something. So Prabhashvi Shashishurya Pranava Sarvavedishu. I am the Pranava, the Om in all the Vedas. Shabdake. I am the sound in ether. Parushamnashu, and I am the ability in man. Now, if we're thinking in a kind of reductive, material, scientific way, we say sound does not travel in space. And here's Krishna saying, I am the sound in ether. But it's actually described that there are 4 stages of sound coming from different chakras in the body. And the 4th stage, Vaikari, is coming from the throat, coming as an intelligent sound coming out of the throat. But you can close your eyes, close your mouth, and say in your head, Hare Krishna. That sound, you heard it. So you have,
Sound in the mind.
yeah. Like for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, it talks about the senses. It doesn't mean the organs. It's actually the subtle senses. You can see, you can smell, you can touch, all in your mind. You can.
I heard the yogis could hear the sound produced from a particular chakra when in trance.
So you have these different. So he says Sabdake Parushamnishu. So you have the sound from the very subconscious para, madhyama, para, madhyama. There's pashanti and vaikari. 4 stages of sound described in the Rig Veda. So there's the subconscious thoughts that are there. And if you're close with somebody, like I'll be in a car with my wife and she's sitting there and I'm like, you need to like, I can hear it. You're just, what's going on? And she said, I didn't say anything. I said, but I can hear it. It's like, no, I can hear it. She's like, yep, that's right. Yeah. So that's telepathy. This is all in the subtle forms of sound. How many of you heard of the number 6 podcast in the world, the telepathy tapes? So good, yes. Yeah. So you find if someone is blind, then their hearing gets more attuned, becomes more sophisticated. Someone is deaf, their sight becomes more attuned. You know, their senses become very attuned. If someone cannot use their hands, they become very dexterous with their feet. Do amazing things. We barely can do anything. And so they found out these autistic children, autistic adults who are nonverbal, who have a very disconnected experience with their body, who cannot do fine motor skills such as speaking. They're they're proven with hundreds and hundreds of rigorous tests, putting one person in one room, person in the other room, what 4-digit number they're looking at. And the person would, they don't speak, but they learn a technique of communication called spelling. There's also, they use iPad. They basically point at the letters and they'll spell out. And as soon as these children and adults started to communicate, the intelligence that they were communicating was much greater than what people expected. People assumed that these were not intelligent persons because of the way they acted physically. And then they would start to say, Mother, I can hear your thoughts. And, that's why I know your password. And that's why I know when you try to hide the candy, I know. And so they shared all these different things. It's a very, very interesting podcast where you find a lot of the mystical elements that are explained in the Vedic scriptures. You'll find studied in a very scientific way in this podcast. So we're at Parusham Nirshu. He says, I'm the sound and ether, but I'm the ability in man. So a person may be able to have the ability to speak, but that can be taken away. Our abilities are not our own. It can be taken, it can be given. We may perform tapas, austerity, practice something. And then you find that people that are really capable, very talented, they don't even know how that's happening. It's just like it's flowing. It's coming to them. So Krishna says, I am that ability. Punyagandham prithivam cha. I am the original fragrance of the earth. So what does dirt smell like? What is the fragrance of the earth? The fragrance of the earth is the fragrance of every delicious smelling thing you've smelled in your life. You put a seed in the ground, and the seed has a programming to extract particular elements to produce. That's why they say monocrop. Don't do monocrop, because that seed is extracting those particular things, and you keep on doing it. Too much of those particular things end up missing. So it's like a program, and it's extracting these different things. And the fragrance is there. The fragrance is just the product of the earth. So punyagandha prithivam cha. Punyagandha prithivam cha. Tejas tashmi vibhavasho. I am the power within fire. The luminance within fire. Vibhavasho. Jivanam sarvabhutashu. I'm the life of all living things. Punyagandha prithivam cha. Tejas chasmi vibhavasho. Jivanam sarvabhutashu. Tapas chasmi tapashvishu. And I am that power of discipline of the ascetics. Bijamam sarvabhutanam vidiparta sanatanam. Know that I'm the original seed of all existence. Bij. Bijamam sarvabhutanam vidiparta sanatanam buddhi buddhitamasmi. I'm the intelligence of the intelligence. Tejas tejasvashvinamaham. And I'm the strength of the powerful. And then he describes Balam Balavatam Chaham. I'm that strength that's devoid, the pure strength that is devoid of this passion. I want Kamaraga Vivarjatam and desire. I'm strength that is just pure. And I am that lust that is also pure. Lust that is engaged in higher development. Kamosmi Bharatar Shaba. Balam Balavatam Chaham Kamaraga Vivarjitam Dharma Bhuta Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatasha. Ye Chaiva Satvika Bhava. Know that all states of being, whether it's sattva, rajas, or tamas, Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasastamashashte mata etatan vidhi Maya te te shute mai. Know that this comes from me. Tribir gunamer bhaver ebi sarvam idam jagat. No mohitam nabijanati lokama ajam avayam. So all states of existence, they're coming from me, but we don't see it. Mohitam. We are covered. We are in this state of illusion. Mohita nabijanati. They don't know me. Lokamam ajam avayam. Daivi Shagunavai. And then this kind of sums up this section. Daivi Shagunavai. Mama Maya Dharatya. This energy of mine, specifically this illusion, it's actually very difficult to overcome. Very difficult to overcome. Very difficult to overcome. Daivi Shukanamaya Mama Maya Dhirataya. Mameviye Prapadyante. But those who come to me, very easy. Very easy. What was an ocean to swim over becomes the puddle of the hoof print of a calf. You would simply step over. So, very difficult, very easy. Often in the Vedic shlokas, the Sanskrit shlokas, that which is already known is presented first. Because that's how you build knowledge. You start with something you know and then you learn something new. And that which is revelation, some new information, that is presented in the second part of the verse. This is often the case. And so he says, Prapadyante, those who give themselves to me, I give myself to them, and thus it becomes very easy. On your own strength, very hard. Even if you try to be a yogi, very hard. But if you come to me, very easy. Together, no problem. Like Arjuna and Krishna. Daivi Eshgunamahi Mamamaya Dhirate Mamevaye Prapadyante Mai Etam Tarandite. Crossover. This is text 14 of chapter 7. Actually, we're supposed to have a guest speaker from the west part of Pennsylvania, but I don't know where he's at. I haven't seen him yet, so I just stepped in, and that's why I just asked you guys to give me a number, and I have some chapters of the Gita memorized, so I decided to share. Venu Madhurya from Gita Nagari Farm. So this is text number 14 we've covered so far. You have any questions so far? Some reflections or questions? Yes?
You were mentioning, Krishna mentions, like, if you come to me, then illusion wouldn't be as, like, difficult.
These are very easy.
Are you referring to devotion?
Yes. If you approach me with, prapadyante, prapad, you offer yourself to me, I offer myself to you. You say I don't exist, then I don't exist for you. I will give you arguments against my own existence. I'm in your heart, and I will be the one providing the arguments against my own existence. Because that's your approach. You desire that, I provide that. You say I'm just energy, then I'll be there, but not personally. You won't get that softness of a person because you're not approaching me in a personal way. But I respond. Sometimes we approach, maybe we are burnt out by the personhood of God that has been presented in Christianity, or how it was presented to us. We see God as sounds like not someone you would even want as a neighbor. What to speak of somebody in charge of something? What to speak of someone in charge of the universe? What to speak of someone in charge of everything? An angry person, not kind, not sweet. But somehow, there's still some sense of personhood. So we say, I put my intentions out to the universe. But if the universe is not conscious, then what can it do? If it's not perceiving your intention. And even if it perceives your intention, if it's not benevolent, then what would you want from it? So there's a sense that even we may speak in not very personal terms, but we still may have a personal sense. It's okay, you're a little bit personal with me, I'd be a little bit personal with you. And you maybe see some serendipitous kind of reactions there. Of me being personal with you. Because you're reaching out. That you're hoping for me to be there, and I'll be there. And if you're just wanting some religiosity that is going to make you wealthy, like I'm going to do this ritual, I'm going to pray to this God because it's like maybe I get money from him. It could be whoever, whatever their name is, but my exchange is business. I want something. It's an exchange of business. He said, then I will give you the faith in that, and I'll be the result. I will be the one providing everything, but you won't be really directly connecting with me. Because I am not caught by business. I'm caught by love.
Through the agency of the devatas.
Actually, in this chapter, he says, I provide. If someone has a mentality that is business-minded with religiosity, I produce within them faith in the devatas. I produce the result. And they're actually, it's happening by my grace, and the devatas are my expansions. But I'm not moved by that. I'm moved by actual love.
Well, what if it is by a devotee who intend to serve Krishna in devotion, but before the devotee the practitioner of bhakti become perfect, attain perfection, we all still have our material desires. What would Krishna do?
So he says, Yeyatam, according to how you approach, I respond. So if you're 3.75%, then he's there. Because he's not forcing his existence upon you. God can make everybody the faithful believer, the faithful servant. Look what happened to Arjuna. He saw the universal form. He was like, please stop. He couldn't take it. It's like the two fish, these young fish were swimming. And the old fish swam by, and the old fish says, how's the water? And the young fish were like, after a while they swam and they're like, what the hell is water? It's all around them, but they're not aware of it. So Krishna he's all around, mohitam, but we can't see it. Nabi janati, we don't know. But he doesn't force that upon us. He reveals according to our desire to see. So sometimes a little cat and mouse, a little like, okay, you put some intention there, then I reveal. It's not like he's forced to reveal. It's some love games are going on. But he does respond. He is never ungrateful in our efforts to serve. Rest assured.
Yes. It's like a question out of your explanation, and you said like if we do business with Krishna or like we do business with God, He's going to direct us to some other devta or like some other power than fulfill the desires we have, and we might not achieve God Himself. But
Well, there is in the Bhagavatam that says, whether you are full of desires, it's best to directly approach the Supreme. Because, you know, how many of you heard the story of Dhruva? Dhruva was a young prince, and he was greatly disrespected by his stepmother. He tried to crawl on his father's lap, and the stepmother pushed him off the lap and said, "You are not going to sit on the throne." The father's sitting on the throne. He's the king. "Unless you die and take birth in my womb. How dare you?" And this kid, he's got that royal blood. He cannot tolerate injustice. So he's burning with anger. Even, he's so young, but it's very intense, very determined. Cannot tolerate injustice. So he goes crying to his mother, and his mother said, "Yes, we're in this unfortunate. Your father has another wife, and she is, he's kind of taken by her. She is very gorgeous. She is called Suniti. She's very honorable, very moral. And the other one is Suruchi, very gorgeous, very beautiful. She was not really the one who was very honorable, very cultured. She was mistreated. And so was her son. And she said, "The only person who can help you is God." And he said, "Where can I find God?" He said, "Well, I heard that the yogis find him in the forest." And this was the case at the time, that the process of divine connection was the process of Ashtanga Yoga, where you completely detach from everything through the process of intense sacrifice and meditation. So he actually went to the forest, and before he got there, while he was in the forest, he met the great sage Narada Muni. Because Narada Muni is a very omniscient, very powerful sage. So he knew what was happening, and he appeared there and he said, "Little boy, what are you doing? This is just little family drama. You should go back." The little boy said, "If you're not going to tell me how I can find God, then you get out of here." And Narada said, "Okay, I see your determination is serious. I will teach you the path." So he chanted Om Namo Narayanaya, or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I think that's the one he chanted. He stood on one foot in meditation like this. For the first month, he ate leaves every 3 days. Then the next month, every 6 days, he ate dry leaves. The next month, he ate a sip of water every 9 days. And the next month, he took a breath of air every 12 days. Due to mastery of the body. We can ask people on Instagram if they have their yogi title. Can you tell us? Which level are you on? So mastery, complete mastery of the body. So much so that he was started to connect to the Lord within his own heart, capturing the Lord within his own heart. The Lord is present in everyone's heart, but he has different forms of presence. There's the Paramatma who just sits as a passive witness and a sanctioner. Upadrashta Anumantacha. Witness and sanctioner. But benefactor, that's how he was getting the Lord to come, as someone who we actually relate with. And thus, the weight of the universe started to dwell within this child. And even Mother Earth said, "I cannot take the burden of this child." She went to Brahma, who went to Vishnu, and said, "Can you please give this child whatever he wants? Because he is crushing us under his weight. So in the 6th month, the Lord appeared. He touched the child's head with his concho on the head. And the child, maybe it was Prahlad, there was a little mix up there because he was also 5. I remember he was touched on the head with a concho. I make sure I have this right. But they both spoke very wonderfully. Prahlad was also 5 and he spoke brilliantly. And what he was wanting, his intention, he said, I want a universe for myself. That's why I'm approaching God. My father is one of the original Manus, progenitors of humankind, a very high position in the universe. And his grandfather is even greater. I want a kingdom greater than my grandfather. And so the Lord appeared. And he said, I'm ready to give you this kingdom. And the little child said, actually, what I was looking for was broken pieces of glass. You are the real gem. He said, okay, but I'll still give you the kingdom. And he gave him the pole star, which is actually a transcendental realm in the material universe. And all the cosmos, if you look up the pole star and go on Google, you'll see if you put a time-lapse camera, the entire space circles around the pole star and it remains centered in the sky. Is it so? And I'll be there with you. So a person may approach God with some mixture of desires, but if there's some inkling of, I want to connect with you, then that will be purified. And so there's a benefit approaching directly.
And like the thoughts that a person has, or like the desires a person has, are they like from the past, like samskaras?
Yes, we're carrying lots of baggage, lots of luggage from past lives. So akama, if you have no desires, you're a great yogi, you're a devotee. Akarma, sarva karma, you want everything. Sarva karma, you want everything. Moksha karma, you just want liberation. Udharadis trivirena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham puram. Then fiercely dedicate your heart to divinity. And everything will become purified. Carmen, what are your reflections? Yes. Yes, he's there.
That's higher
Dhruv,
than
and
Brahmaloka, right?
yeah, it's transcendental. Dhruvaloka. Dhruva, you find this word throughout Sanskrit. It means fixed. Krishna, actually remember I said a 5-year-old spoke very beautiful words? Here are his words. Kumar acharet pragyo dharman bhagavata niha durlabam manusham janma tad adruvam tadartadam. Kumar, what's that mean? What does that mean? Kid. Child. Acharya. What acharet? What does achar mean?
A guru.
To teach. Pracharya is speaking, but achar is what you're doing, how you're living. Kumar acharet pragya. Gya, jnanam, knowledge. One who is intelligent from the very beginning of life, from childhood. Dharman bhagavataniha. He should practice this Bhagavat Dharma, this spiritual life of relating to God in a very loving and personal way. Manusham Kumar Acharya Pragyo Dharman Bhagavataniha Durlabam. Labha means to obtain, and Durlabha means very difficult to get. human life is actually very difficult to get. The Buddha gave the example, if you can imagine a tortoise that comes up for breath every 100 years in the ocean. Turtle. Did I say tortoise? Turtle. Because tortoises are not swimming. Sorry. So this turtle is coming up for breath every 100 years. And by chance, there is a log floating. And by chance, there is a toothpick floating in between the hole in that log. And by chance, he pops his head up and the toothpick balances on his nose in this vast ocean. That is the chance that you get a human birth. Durlabha manusham janma. Janma, birth. Janmashtami is Krishna's birthday. Janma, birth as a manu. And what does manu mean? A human. Is durlabham. It's very rare. And although it is adruvam, dhruva is fixed. It's very short-lived. It's very impermanent. 100 years, nothing. Artadam, but it can give the greatest artha, the greatest value to you. This was from the mouth of the 5-year-old Prahlad, the great devotee of Narasingha. Carmen has a question. No, this is from the mouth of Prahlad, the 5-year-old. Yeah, another 5-year-old. Okay. Any other questions? Reflections? What else will you take home with you?
Sometimes I look at children, since I worked for so long with them, and I just wonder, like, wow, we don't know what's inside their head. The world is so big,
Yes.
and we tend to think of them kind of inferior, they don't know much. But sometimes I look at them and I'm like, gosh, do they know less as they grow?
Yeah.
Because their head is so big and so much is in there. Do they actually throw some of it away and get stupider as they
Their expansive imagination, their ability to. Albert Einstein said, "What's more important than knowledge is imagination." If you have knowledge, then you know it. But if you have the ability to imagine, then you have the ability to investigate.
And the things that kill these creative forces, like videos being taped or not having privacy, to feel you're being watched, all of a sudden it kills the creativity. People who are actors are used to being watched and taped and stuff, but somebody's like truly creative, and one of these, all of a sudden they see a camera, all of it just goes away.
Yes, yes. And then just how we get entertained, we find that if you're,
How to navigate all this phenomena that's going on.
like if you're watching a movie, then you don't need any of your intelligence or imagination. It's all done for you. If you hear a book, then you employ your imagination. Or you hear a story, you don't even have to hear the book. You hear someone verbally. Then your own imagination is brought in. Like sometimes you hear Krishna's pastimes, so violent, he's fighting those monsters. But it's actually not violent for the kid unless he has seen something very violent. For their imagination, they have to actually have some input to add to the graphic nature of it. So, yes.
As you explained the turtle example and told us how lucky we are to get the human form. So should humans really be scared? Because if we are so lucky to have the human form, like the God or the Supreme has everything planned for us, so should we even manifest things or just leave it like that?
Well, there's will and sanction. So something sanctioning for us is different from God's will. Like if your parent allows you to do something, doesn't necessarily mean it's what they want, they would like you to do. But it's like I said, it's not a forced relationship. So human life, the point of this human life is rare. It means you don't misuse it. Like this is, it looks like a composition book, but this is iPad Pro. And I could use it to nail nails in the wall. Yeah, I could do that. I could get a MacBook Pro, get one of the newer ones, and put the nails in the wall. So what can you do as a human that you can't do as an animal? Ask these questions. Live a life of spiritual inquiry. You can sleep, you can mate, you can eat, you can do all those things as an animal, and many times better, without restriction. Bear can sleep without restriction. Nobody gives him a hard time. Just sleeping most of the winter. He gets up just a few hours every day, just a little bit. Eat, defecates, and then he just sleeps. Again, another 18 hours, 22 hours, he has something stored. Nobody gives. If you're a human living like that, you're going to have such a hard time. You won't be able to afford the rent, and everyone's going to be giving you a hard time. But what can you do as a human that you cannot do as a bear? That's the question. That's the value of human life. So because it's rare, then we have to do what humanity can do that the animals can't do. Actually make use of it, instead of advancing our animal propensities. We have this great intelligence, and then we use our intelligence to do things that the animals already have to take care of. We use it instead of just finding food. We create factory farms. So for eating, for sleeping, we have the wonderful skyscrapers. For mating, you go to the grocery store. There's all these magazines to improve your mating skills. Defending, we have nuclear weapons. We have chemical weapons. You never see human fist kung fu. It's tiger fist kung fu. The animals already have their own natural defense built in. Human fist kung fu. No one cares about that one. So now that we have the intelligence, those categories of action, we don't need to put too much attention there. We should put into the categories of action that the animals cannot progress in, that their bodies are not meant for. Spiritual inquiry, self-reflection. You don't see that the tiger is not generally like, wait a minute, should I have eaten that buffalo? Should I? But we can be self-reflective. Whereas there's the animals, they don't make any karma because they're just they're burning off karma, because the nature has their own instinctual plan. We have our own karmic instinctual tendencies, but we can also say, what's beyond that? That's what human civilization is just to not just do whatever impulse we have, but what's the deepest impulse to satisfy. All right. Any last questions? I saw Sham poke his head in and count the heads, so I wasn't sure if there was somebody getting the food ready. So I was like, okay. He poked his head and he was I think the dinner's all. Yeah, so everything should be good. So anything else? Anything you want to take home to share with the group?
They say that death is our biggest fear. As one gets closer to death, it seems like, okay, I'm lucky I've gone this far. I should have escaped a lot of stuff, and I'm still alive. But the biggest fear becomes what's going to happen next.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm a human again, that would be okay.
Or if you're born in even a dog in the family of great spiritualists, you can still make progress. But yeah, best to be a human. Best to be human. But you want to be in the association of sincere seekers,
And
because
so there are families who are devotees and stuff and have dogs. So that dog is on a higher level than I am.
possibly, yeah. I've seen dogs with tilak markings, and I've seen 2 dogs that if you chant Hare Krishna, on the response, on the response,
That's amazing.
you sing anything else, it does not care.
Oh my God.
You sing Hare Krishna, it responds. One golden Labrador with a perfect tilak marking at the rainbow gathering, and it would just participate with the kirtan like that. And another white dog and the owner of the dog was a disciple of Prabhupada, and his dog was like this devotee who just sing along, could not help it. Yeah.
That's what my
We have
daughter
no-
does. When I open my prashadam at home, whenever I'm opening my prashadam at home, she's right next to me.
Yeah.
She's watching what I'm doing.
And if you know the story of Mr. India, Bharat, if you go on India, you get their currency is called a rupee. And what does it say, the name of the country on the rupee? It doesn't say India. In the Sanskrit, it says Bharata. India is named after this great king Bharat. And he was a young king, and he left everything to the forest, and he went to meditate to prepare for death. But he was actually quite young and maybe not ready for that step. So this little test came. A very pregnant deer was right on the banks of a river. And then there was a roar of a lion. And I've seen a video of this. Deer can give birth in milliseconds. They can jump, and their baby will be right there. I've seen that. And so she jumped into the water, and the baby was also in the water. So this king valiantly, like I said, the king's nature is protect. And so he protected that deer. He took care of that deer, and it became his dear, oh sweet dear. It became actually an obsession. It's like, if you read the verses, it's like he is like obsessed with this deer, obsessed. And then one day the deer disappeared, and he was flipping out, running around the forest. He fell in the well, broke his legs, and he was dying. And then there's the deer's head pops up, looking down at him. My dear. And he died, and he became a deer. But he had Jati Smara. He could remember his past birth because he had this powerful spiritual credits that were there. And he's like, whoa, no. All this deer did is he lived in the hermitage of sages. He ate very simply, just like some dry leaves, and he just kept his ears always on the spiritual topics.
Wow.
And his next life, he was born as Jud Bharat. He had the same name, but Jud means like stone. He was born not in a family of kings, he was born in a family of priests. But he decided he didn't want to get stuck with anything. He didn't want to be involved with anything of this world. And so he put on a show that he was like one of those autistic children. And so everyone assumed he's dumb and foolish. And so nobody would think, oh, marry my daughter, here's some money. They're like, no, he's not going to get entangled into anything. And he could just be in his internal meditation. one time, some thieves saw him, and they were part of like kind of a cult of a gang of thieves, and they thought, if we perform a human sacrifice to goddess Kali, then our fortune of thievery will increase. And so they were about to cut off his head in front of the altar of Kali, and the altar broke open, and the deity of Kali came out with all of her associates, and they killed all of them. And she was furious. And then there was another part where, because he was, when I say Mr. India, it's not only his name was India, India's named after him, but he was described to be, they say swole. What did they say? he was a big, huge dude. He was nice, and so they saw this guy, buff dude, stone head, great for carrying a palanquin, and so they had him. Hey, guy, come here. And he just followed along, and they had this palanquin, and then the king, he's like, the palanquin starts moving. So weird. It's because he doesn't want to step in any bugs or anything. He has this very soft-hearted nature. So he's looking at. So he comes off the cart and he says, "Oh, I see you're old and weak, and you're this or that." He says all these sarcastic things, and Chad Bharat says, "I'm not old or strong. I'm not weak. I'm not young. I'm a soul." And the king's like, whoa. Who are you? Wow. And he sits. He puts the so-called crazy fellow on a pedestal and said, "Please teach me." And that's several chapters of the Bhagavatam, is this exchange. And it's really beautiful. That's the story of Mr. India. Extra story for you. So we'll stop here, and we'll have just a few minutes of kirtan, and we'll serve you a delicious dinner. Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. So everyone can stand up.